Good. So, welcome to this Business Bliss Q&A call of the Secrets of Business Chakras. We're in our fourth week of this fabulous mentoring program, which in the first week we've started with the growth coaching in the root business chakra. The second week, Thea has created a fabulous, wonderful energy clearing and calibration session. The third week, we had our TTT session, which stands for Tool Treasure Trove, where we put our fabulous, wonderful root chakra tools. And this week, we're opening this space for especially root, but not only root, business chakra questions or general business questions, where we look behind the technical things, and I don't mean technical by the techie stuff, but rather the proper business things, and we look behind the scenes, how we feel, how the energies are in business, and that's what we're going to open the space today for you, for those who have submitted your questions in the form of the Business Bliss Q&A, for the members in the the Secrets of Business Chakra portal, and also those who have joined us and submitted their questions. So we have them in front of us, and I'm very excited to get started. Thea, want to say hello too?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Monday, everybody. I can't believe we've actually completed the first month of the year, which just kind of shows how quickly these things fly past. But if you're just joining us, if you've not worked with business chakras before, it's something new, that is absolutely fine, because the beautiful thing about energy is that it works on a spiral and on a loop and in all directions. So we've spent this past month examining the root business chakra in great detail. But if you decide that you want to jump on board, you want to join us for the sacral, that is just as good a place to start. And wherever you are, that's where you are, and that is the perfect place for you to be. So don't worry about missing out on anything, because you're not. You are always able to start exactly where you need to start. And if you come and join us, we have all of the replays in the portal. You can catch up at your own leisure. You can focus on the things that are most important and valuable to you right now. So that's the beautiful thing about business chakras, is that it's such an individualized, personalized approach, because we're doing what works for you, and targeted in a way that really supports your business. So Nadine, do you want to take the first question?
Yeah, let's dive into it. I love this question, which comes to us a lot, which is about should I consider a nonprofit model if my work feels more like a calling than a traditional business? So that's one of my favorite questions, because I'm not only, a mentor of spirituality in business, but also I really have a master's degree in nonprofit organizations management. And this question really comes often. So the question of should your calling be a nonprofit? So there is, first of all, the question of a business, right? If you do a business, so you have value to offer, and you're doing actually people a favor to offering it to them so they can enjoy your services and products, right? So that's the quintessence, the essence of a business, right? On the other hand, a nonprofit has a goal that is, as it says, a nonprofit goal, which is often like a cause, a social issue, environmental issue, or such. So the question is, what is your calling? And if your calling is to help people to ascend, to give them a service or a product, so this is actually more likely to be defined as business. So the difference between nonprofit and for-profit is, what are you actually going to do with the money, right? And matter of fact is, the more money you get, the more money you own, the more you can grow your business. And the more your business grows, the more impact you have with your calling in the world, right? The nonprofit adds a layer of admin, where it requires you to reinvest the funds that you earn into the calling or the cause of the business, of the nonprofit organization, right? So if that's your thing, that's fine. But too often people think that they should open a nonprofit just because they think they don't deserve the money. It's not spiritual to receive money for a service. And so if that is your thought or motivation behind the question, so my answer is absolutely not. You do open a business, and then if you want to contribute of your business earnings to a good cause, so do it voluntarily, do it as you feel like doing it. But in terms of allowing your business to grow, so you have much more freedom to create the for-profit. And there is also the middle thing, which is a social business, where you can have your team and workers participate in the earnings and profits that you do. So, but then as a business owner, you're very free to choose what kind of setting you'd actually want to set up. So the answer is, look at the motivation behind this question. Is it a feeling of undeservedness? Do you feel like you don't deserve the money, or the money is somehow tainted or not a good thing in business? So my recommendation is to heal this this kind of thinking, and to allow yourself to be in business and allow yourself to be massively successful and earn a lot of money by the wonderful value that you offer to the world. Does that make sense for you? You can let us know in the comments. Yeah. Do you actually see the comments? Just I want to ask you, because I don't at this
I can
point.
go onto Facebook, so I will see them. I just wanted to add to that, though. Yeah, I can see you. Yeah, there you are. Oh gosh, sorry. No.
Yeah, now I see the comments, so just go ahead.
Anyway, so I just wanted to add to that. The money is effectively energy. Money in and of itself has no value judgment one way or the other. You can choose to use it for positive things, you can choose to use it for negative things. It is an energy. And you know, those, you know, pound notes or euro notes or dollar bills, that's a promise of value, but it actually has no, it's not positive or negative. So if you're starting to think about what Nadine's just suggested, and you're realizing that actually, you know, you don't want the money with you because you don't feel that you deserve, that other people deserve it more than you, maybe a nonprofit is right for your business model. But the other thing to consider is that the more money you have, the more people you can help, the more money you've got to share. Because if that money is tied up in a nonprofit, then it's all going to be channeled in the direction of that nonprofit. And that might be a cause that you feel very passionately about, but it might not be where you necessarily want all of your funds to go. Whereas if you've got a business, you've got the freedom with that money that you can give it to charity. You can set up a fundraising day and donate to that. You can find a nonprofit that is aligned with what you do and give them, you know, donate your time and energy to them. You don't necessarily have to run a nonprofit to be able to, you know, share good and positivity and abundance in the world. So maybe try flipping it on its head and ask yourself, well, if I had all this money from a really successful business, who would I help?
Yeah.
What positivity can I spread? How can I make a change for the better in this world? And that then also might help you to make the decision that actually maybe a straightforward business model is better for the vision that I have right now.
Absolutely, yeah. It depends also, of course, on the regulations of your specific country. They're different from country to country. So there we go back to the traditional business approach. Ask your advisor, you know, according to ICM frozen. Okay, so yeah, no.
Okay, well, why don't we just move on to the next question that we've got, that I really love this one, because I think that when people know that I'm an energy worker and a meditation teacher, they kind of assume what I'm likely to say and answer this. And maybe my answer to this question is going to surprise you a little bit. But it's, what one small shift can I make daily to bring more ease and clarity to my business operations? Now, meditation is a wonderful tool, and absolutely you can use it for ease and clarity and flow. But actually, the one thing that I would recommend: planning. Planning is your superpower to ease and clarity. And Nadine and I have a workshop planned on this subject coming. We haven't quite set on the time yet, but it'll be later this year. So if you're interested in that, join our mailing list. And we'll give you details of when the planning workshop is going to be run. But the reason why I recommend planning is because of a coach that I had many years ago now, after I was in a motorway pile-up and my brain wasn't functioning as well as it used to. So I hired a coach to help get me back on track. And one of the just most valuable pieces of advice he gave me was to say to me, take the burden off your brain. So when we're talking about ease and clarity, we are talking about releasing the burden, not having so much on your plate. And he said, instead of keeping everything in your head, that you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, get it out, put it on paper. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. This is my planner. It is just a list of things that I've got to do. But what I do is, at the start of the week, this is what I'd like to see get done this week. And I organize it according to priority and the days that I think it's going to be done. So I have my tasks for today. I have my tasks for tomorrow. I have Wednesday free because I know that I've got other commitments that I've got to follow up on. So I schedule my work for the week. And the other really important point to take on board, which another really amazing mentor that I've worked with said to me, was that we overestimate what we can get done in a day, but we underestimate what we can get done in a week. So by planning, it forces you to prioritize. You can go, right, these are the most important things. And I suggest you pick no more than 3 things that you intend to get done that day. Any more than that 3 is a wonderful bonus. Great, you're ahead of the curve. But 3 things is a lot. 1 thing, if it's the right thing, can make a huge difference. So 3 is huge. And we underestimate what we can achieve in a year. So if we're doing this daily progress and we've prioritized and these 3 things that are the most important things to do today, you will find that it's inevitable, you will progress to where you want to be. And with our tool treasure trove last week, one of the things that we went over was figuring out how to prioritize our tasks. So we've got tools in the TTT for you to help to figure out what are the 3 things that you need to do that day. And if you make that one shift of giving yourself no more, it really doesn't take longer than about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes at the beginning of the week, to sit down, plan what you're going to get done that day, you will be amazed by just how much ease and clarity it brings to your business operations.
Yeah, I love that a lot. What I want to add to that, for me, like there is a lot of clarity I generally have, and if I don't have it, so it means that like I feel a blockage, and in order to open it, I do your absolutely amazing the 7 breath method that you taught us last time. So that's on the portal for those who are already on the membership. So I just love it how I open chakra by chakra, space by space, to gain this clarity, to put all the unnecessary thoughts, I'll put them away. I'll get rid of and refocus my energy on, okay, what is the one thing I try to achieve right now? And probably, or perhaps also, what is the one thing that that blocks me from achieving this right now? And then I'll do it now because my thoughts are always there, so I'll do it and then it's out of my way, or I make a decision also see how it all together, or I make a decision according to our prioritization matrix we discussed last week in the tool treasure trove. That okay, I'm going to delegate this, or I'm going to do this later, then I schedule it for later, and then I just have everything that it's not necessary out of the way. And that makes so much sense to just have then this one thing I want to focus on. I have clarity, and now I know what I have to do. Easy. Starts with some breath.
Smiling about this because it's just, to me, that you've just perfectly illustrated why the business chakra system works. Because when we decided that we wanted to work together and build this system, you come to it sort of from a more business background. You've always been a spiritual business owner, but you are more dominated in the business realm. Whereas I'm at the opposite end, where I'm a business owner, so I have business experience, but I'm more focused on spiritual stuff. And actually, between the two of us, I've just said that the most important thing to do is actually a business oriented thing. And you've said the most important thing to do is a spiritual thing, which just shows that when we have these two things combining, that's where the magic happens. That's where you get to where you want to go. That just made me smile.
Exactly. No, that makes so much sense, because our clients, some of them are spiritual beings that try to figure out how business works. And the others are business owners and business, successful business people that are figuring out how spirituality works. And very few people actually know how to combine it in a way that they know how to integrate both worlds. And that's really the beauty. And it's really funny that you say that I'm looking for the spiritual things because I'm coming from my business angle, and there I know what I have to do, and you're coming from the other side. So yeah, that's really beautiful. I love it.
So do you want to move on to the next question then? Because I know we've got quite a few to get through.
Yes, let's see. Oh, I love this question. How can I make bookkeeping and financial planning feel like a sacred practice instead of a chore? I love this question. Like, that's just so much the essence of integrating spirituality, because me, like, all this admin thing and bookkeeping is like something like just shovel it away. I'll put it to my bookkeeper, and I don't want to have anything to do with it. So with these kinds of energy, wow, really, there is no sacred space in there. But on the other hand, my bookkeeper does a sacred work. He organizes my finances, puts the number together into categories, and then I can ask, hey, in how much did I spend this year in my marketing budget, and how much in for the staff, and then I can have cuts and organize. And when I go to the planning, and you just mentioned our planning workshop, so we want to have the numbers, we want to know, and then it's like, oh no, I have to know and go and figure out. No, let's create a sacred space. And how you do it is by creating a sacred space, right? So that's part of the magic that you, Thea, are bringing to us, and I'd love you to chip in with that. But what I will say is just become aware that this kind of thinking is a blockage, which we want to open. How do we open it? With practices of just shifting our thoughts to understanding this is a sacred practice, to move it to my accountant, or to get my numbers in order. So my decision, we spoke about clarity before, so my decisions can be decisions coming from a place of clarity. So I'll pass this question to you, and you'll tell us how we create a sacred space in bookkeeping.
There's two things that I'd like to pick up on there. I'll go on to like the specifics of creating sacred space in a moment. But the first thing that I wanted to say was that, I'm very much with you. All that kind of thing is not really what brings me joy. So kind of my natural instinct is just, give it to someone else to do. I have an accountant, he can deal with it. But you can't actually get rid of it completely, because for example, my accountant actually needs my details for the last year. Now we're in the process of preparing the tax return. My accountant will do all that hard work, but I've still got to provide them with the figures. I've still got to go back through my bank records and make sure that they've got everything. And it's not fun. But you know what is fun? is how I'm going to feel when it's done, how I'm going to feel when it's submitted, the sense of accomplishment I'm going to feel when I look at my business figures and see growth for that year. All of those things. So whilst the actual doing the task itself isn't great, one thing that can really help is to focus on the feelings and to focus on how it feels when it's done, and then bring that in at the start, because I'm doing this so I can feel that way. But actually, why can't I feel that way right now? Oh, I can. So actually tap into that feeling of accomplishment right from the start. You know, pat yourself on the back. Look at me. I'm sitting down to do my books. That's great. I'm awesome. And start celebrating yourself every step of the way, which will bring that joy and that lightness to the moment. Now then, coming on to creating the sacred space. Well, there's two ways of doing this. One is the mental sacred space. So sacred space doesn't necessarily have to be in the physical. So where I've just said about focusing on the joy, bringing that excitement, that achievement, that accomplishment, all of that is creating sacred space in your brain so that you can actually then do the tasks that will get you to that state on all levels. So it starts up here. We've talked about this. We talked about this in our book, which will be coming out in the not too distant future, The Secrets of the Business Chakras. But when it comes to thoughts, these things come here and they travel down. And then when we bring them into the reality, when we manifest them, make them real, they travel back up again. So by creating that sacred space up here first, we then enable us to create the sacred space in the reality, which then enables us to do the work, which then brings us back up to where we were.
And that's just such a wonderful example of flow, when there is flow between our thoughts and the task list, how you say, the bottom line. Yeah, that's
Absolutely,
really
because
cool.
that energy is going, it's always flowing in all directions. So when we talk about blocks, it's not just about blocks that stops it coming up, it's also the blocks that stop it going down. So that's
Yeah.
why we want this free flow. Now, if you're somebody that benefits from physical things to make you feel like you're in sacred space, there's a few little things that you can do. So anybody coming into my room, looking at my desk, would immediately spot that I deal with spiritual subjects because I have crystals. I have, this is one of my favorite things. This is my statue of Apollo, who is the god of music. And I make a lot of music in this room, and he's also god of creativity. So I have Apollo there to shine on me. Very solar plexus energy from Apollo. So what you need to do is, if you want to actually create a physical sacred space, have a think about those things that bring you joy. Maybe have a symbol of what you want to have achieved with your business in the next year, 3 years, 5 years. Keep that focus on your desk. So vision boards are one way of doing this. You could make a scrapbook of things that symbolize what it will mean to you to have succeed, and then look through your scrapbook, maybe have it open on a particular page that symbolizes having achieved that that task, that goal. If you are somebody who loves working with crystals, again, anybody looking at my desk will see all my crystals. So this is my octopus who holds crystals, and he's carrying a piece of jasper, which is a root chakra associated crystals. So one thing that you could do is you could have a set of 7 crystals associated with each of the chakras, or you could maybe just have a crystal for whatever chakras you feel need most work. And what you can do is you can actually have it out and you can hold it while you're doing the work. You can have it close to you. So the thing about this particular crystal is that it's got like a little dip, an indentation in it. So I can hold it in my hand and I can just rub on it when I want to bring that energy. So as I'm focusing on those thoughts of how great I'm going to feel when I've done my accounts, and what having finished my accounts is going to symbolize to me, and how it's a step closer to my goals, I can be holding the crystal, and that crystal will help me ground into that energy, connect into that energy. If you can't afford to have a ton of crystals, the one crystal that I would recommend, I haven't got it with me, but I do have it around the house, is just clear quartz. Clear quartz is a fantastic multi-purpose crystal that will work with any of the chakras, and it's really easily programmable. So you can fill it with You can sit with it, close your eyes, fill it with your vision of what success means to you, what it would look like for you. And then before you do your work, you could get your clear quartz out. If you're finding that your energy is flagging a little, you could maybe get your crystal out again, rub it a little bit, build up the energy again. Or you could do 7 breaths that Nadine mentioned earlier. It's a simple meditation. It literally takes 7 breaths. So you can do these things. You can do a meditation to create sacred space just to get you in the right headspace. You could do an energizing meditation. You can do a chakra meditation. And you'll find that we have a lot of these meditations in our portal, and we are adding to them all the time, because there's just so much versatility in all of these tools that you can then take them and adapt them to whatever it is that you need. Once you've got the basic understandings, you can see just how flexible these things are, and you can change it according to what you need.
And I'd also add to this 2 things. First of all, create a physical sacred sacred space. So for example, you see this, it's not my office. You know my office from the white flowers. So this is my workshop room. I call it Prosperity Space. And if you Google it, Prosperity Space Zurich, like this is a real space, a sacred space that I created for my coachees. So this is, well, I haven't yet done my bookkeeping here, but it's a very good idea to just come here actually when I need the space. And to lay out things, especially for brainstorming, I come here as well because there is a lot of space. And there I have my money tree with the money inside, with the love, with the flowers, with the light. Like I have literally invested a lot of thought of how I'd love my space to look like when I work, when I coach. And that's a very good example of creating, like actively creating a space. So that's how you also can do it for your bookkeeping. You can find a time in the month, which I do, like I do it once a month, but then I'm done. But then I do it with all, like I bring all the, I have a drawer with all the bills and everything that I have to take care in this, or the scans of the you know, of the invoices and everything that I have to send. So it's in a very nice golden drawer that then I take out and I give my attention, my love, and I'll send it off. I feel gratitude when I pay the bills because I got the service or a product for them. So that's a whole other practice that we also get into, I guess, more in the heart chakra. But that's one of the things how I do my bookkeeping. And the second thing I wanted to add is that for our Magistry members and above, we have our sacred space, the entrepreneurial sacred space. So make use of this and come to our sacred space. You'll find all the information in the portal. That's for Magistry members, Magistry coming from magic plus mastery, when you already master magic, right? Yeah, so that's it. That's like the space. Once you say, okay, here is my time for bookkeeping, you open the page of the sacred space and you, how do you say, you know, take in the energies that we've put there. And that's where you have your sacred space. It's called the entrepreneurial sacred space. So just log in there and come. Easy. Right?
Say as well that you may never reach a space where you absolutely love doing the books. I mean, this is why we all are gravitating towards different career paths, because we all naturally gravitate towards the things that really do fulfill us. But just because you're never going to be a bookkeeper doesn't mean that actually you're not going to end up in a space where you almost look forward to it, because you've realized those connections and how it feeds the rest of your business, so how it frees up times that you can focus on those things that actually are your zone of genius, where you need to be. So all of these tips, start doing these things, make your space, you know, make your desk a place of beauty for you, whatever it looks like for you, and start tapping into those feelings, and you'll be amazed at just how much it changes things for you.
Absolutely. Cool. Next question. You pick one.
Okay, well, let's do this one, which I really, oh yeah, I know I keep saying I love them, but I do love these questions because they're all such fascinating subjects. How can I trust others to support my vision without losing control of what matters most to me? And this one actually comes up a lot, particularly amongst fellow authors, because a lot of people, when they start writing a book, find that, or even when you start a business, the people around you aren't necessarily as supportive of what you want to achieve as you are. And this can be quite disappointing as well. And I know that we've got two strands here, because I'm talking about, you know, the people that you know right now, your circle. I'll come on to look at your team members in a minute as well. But the people around you, here's the thing, don't look at the people around you for validation. The reality is, I have no control over what somebody else thinks or does about me and what I do. I can do my absolute best. I can present things that are a high quality. I can offer value. I can do all of these things that I know will make a difference. But there will always be those people who aren't interested or don't understand or don't appreciate the value yet. That's fine. They're not your people. Don't worry about it. If your best friend thinks that your idea for a business is not a great one, but you know you have sat with it, you have done this work, and you know that your vision is exactly what you need to be doing, let them go. As the great RuPaul puts it, what you think of me is none of my business. So that's the first thing. You can't necessarily look to the people around you to support your vision, but that is actually okay. Now, when it comes to your team, that's a different question, because obviously we want everybody on your team to be following the same vision. We want everybody to be going in the same direction. Now, everybody's different. So, whilst for me, it's very important to bring a spiritual side to my business, somebody who is more root chakra based, they're more grounded in those earthier energies. If I was to go to my accountant, knows that I run a spiritual business, doesn't get it in the slightest. He's very respectful, but he doesn't understand it. But this is okay, because what he is doing is he enabling me to achieve goals. He doesn't necessarily have to share my approach. He just has to want me to end up in the same place that I want to end up in. And that's where you need to find people around you who want to see you succeed. So if you start by adding to your team by getting a VA, you want to find a VA who is supportive of your vision, who wants to see you succeed because they get a kick out of seeing others succeed. Like my husband's one of those people. For my husband, one of the greatest experiences in the world is him supporting someone else to see them succeed. There are a lot of people like him out there. You want to be surrounded by people who are actually all looking at getting to the right place, because where one of us succeeds, we all succeed. Where my business is succeeding, my team is succeeding. So if you're maybe interviewing people to bring onto your team, watch their language.
Yeah.
What kind of words are they using? How are they talking about previous projects? You know, does something feel not quite right? They might be saying everything in the right way, but there's something that you can't put your finger on that's not quite adding up. Don't ignore that niggle, okay? Because that is your third eye and your solar plexus working together to say that person's not energetically aligned. I promise you, I mean, look back over your life. I guarantee that there will be times when somebody, you know, it didn't quite add up, that it didn't seem to quite make sense, but they managed to convince you that they were great and they had amazing things to bring to the table. So you gave them a chance and it all blew up in your face. Don't ignore the niggles. Listen to your niggles. You're never going to find somebody else who 100% agrees with what you're doing or how you're doing it, but that's because we're all unique. What you want to find is somebody who sees your vision, thinks it's amazing, and wants to join you on that journey towards that vision. And you'll find that those people are out there. If your energies are aligned, you will naturally attract and gravitate towards those people. and let those people form the heart of your team. But, you know, underneath this, there was a question of how do I not lose control of what matters most to me? It's simple. You just do not look to other people for validation. You stay true to you, because it's the second you start compromising that everything starts falling apart. So stay true in your energy, stay true in your authenticity, and everything else will fall into place around it.
Yeah, I'll also add that control and trust are two sides of the same spectrum. And in my financial coaching, so we look at trust in a very deep way. And then I always ask, you know, why is it that you can trust? Like on a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you trust this person, this idea, this process? Okay, so you can use this for anything. So on a spectrum from 1 to 10, and then let's say it's a 7. So I go and ask, why isn't it more than a 7, or why isn't it less than a 7? Like, why is it a 7? And then you can find out. So if it were this and this and that, so it would be an 8 or a 9 or a 10. So you know what kind of steps or measure you'd like to see in order to gain more trust. Or you will also say, well, it's a 7 because it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Otherwise it would be 3, right? So you know what criteria actually make you trust and what other criteria would make you more trust. So if that's important to have a 10 of a 10 in trust with corporations, certain corporations or employees, you'll definitely want to have a 9 or a 10. So that makes a lot of sense to then ask those questions and to, you know, not let it go until you actually have the answer. And because trust and control are both emotional energies and not something like set in stone, so it's really about listening to this emotion and to get to the ground of it. Why are you having this? Like, is it something connected to you and your upbringing and your childhood, etc.? Or is it something coming from the other person? Or is it something about the process? So just think about it in depth and take the feeling from the subconscious to the conscious, make it conscious, and then you have the answer of trust and of control. And then you can also say, I have to just let go of control. Or I'd really like to see some of their, let's say, portfolio or videos or recommendations, so then I can trust more, right? Or I'd like to have a week working with them to see how it works and how the energies are, or whatever. So you know the answers, just go in there and don't hesitate to ask for more information, or, you know, whatever it needs to meet those kind of criteria, so you gain the trust. And then you have control over the trust, which is very interesting, right? Because usually what is control? Like we're not really in control, but we think we are. It's emotional too.
So this is the thing. I think that's where again, it's about the shift in perspective, because what's the one thing we've got control over?
Yeah.
Ourselves, our actions, our thoughts, because yes, we can control our thoughts. Our emotions, again, yes, we can actually get in tune with our emotions, which they're just messages telling ourselves what we need to be doing. So you can actually get an awful lot of control over yourself. Anything else, control's an illusion. So it's not even it's not worth worrying about. It's not worth spending that energy on, because there are better places to put your energy.
Yeah. That said, you can take all those measures, and we very much encourage you to do so. One maybe fun fact, and there is another question that was asking about that was more in the contract side. Like we had so many questions, so I lost it. But anyway, so it's about how to make an agreement or a contract that you feel aligned with it, because usually it's such a techie. You got the question, so you can read it to us.
I found this was a really interesting question as well. How do I approach creating contracts with collaborators in a way that fosters mutual respect and understanding? It's such a great question.
Yeah, so I'm not sure it was this one, but what I wanted to say is
hang on. I want my client agreements to reflect trust and respect. What should I include to create clarity and harmony?
Yeah, so what I will say is, that when you design a contract, so there's so many templates, and of course lawyers are earning a great wonderful sum of money setting up contracts, that's fine. But then again, and that's part of the answer Thea gave before, start at your goal. What is your goal? Like, what kind of energy do you want to have in your contract? And so the best example is the contract that Thea and I have created. We took whatever template and then we just went in there and made it sound fun and easy and effortless. And then, you know, she sits in the UK and I'm in Switzerland. And I guess, you know, we're not going to sue each other. Like, we wouldn't even enter business if we had thoughts like this. So I think we said something like, if anyone is doing something against this contract, karma will haunt you. And we had a real good laugh about it. And we both believe in this. So yeah, so that's what we put in our treaty. And I think that's a very good example to make it aligned with your values, with your beliefs, with what you want to have in a contract. So that, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to just go in and write it in the way that feels aligned to you, to your business, to your vision, to your voice. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I will say that we do both believe in karma, so it made sense for us to have in that, because we both, I mean, I'm very much, if somebody does do something negative towards me, it will eventually, and it always does. So I leave it to karma to sort that kind of thing out for me. And it's funny actually, because I was thinking about this question earlier, because a lot of people rebel against the idea of having a contract. It's a little bit like if you're getting married, and I mean, prenups are not legally binding in the UK, but if we were living in the US, being asked to sign a prenup, and the reaction to that of you know, well, if you loved me, you should trust me. And it's a very difficult balance, because I trust every single person I do business with. I just would not do business with somebody who I didn't like as a human being, who I didn't respect, who I didn't think had something valuable to offer me, and who I didn't trust. Like, all of those things are really important to me before I even think about working with someone. The flip side is that we're all human and circumstances change. And sometimes things come up that aren't necessarily what somebody intended to do or wanted to do, but it happens. So, for example, if I was contracted to write a book for somebody and they had a hard deadline, and you know, I was in an accident, so then I couldn't fulfill the contract. That's not my fault. I haven't intended to do it, but something will happen. So I think there's actually a demonstration of trust in a contract, because in signing a contract, what you're saying to the other person is you're saying, I trust you that this isn't actually necessary. I trust you that you don't need to protect yourself from me, but I'm happy to offer, I'm extending you that trust of showing you what I will do to put it right if I happen to make a mistake. But I know I'm not going to have to do that because I trust myself. So again, I think there's also an attitude that you can take to contracts of, rather than viewing them as being restrictive or negative, or going into it thinking that the other person doesn't trust you, flip it on its head. A contract is actually the ultimate display of trust, because you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable. You're saying, if I don't do this, these are going to be the consequences for me. And I'm happy to accept those consequences because I know I'm not going to do this. So I'm proving to you my trust. I'm being vulnerable to you. And if you extend that same level to me, so again, with Nadine, you know, I could have sat there and gone, what do you mean you want a contract? We're just going to work together, and we don't need a contract because we're going to be fine. And if you don't trust me, then we have a contract.
We do.
Yes. You know, because we were showing to each other that we do have that trust.
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
If you've got issues about signing a contract, if you're finding that doesn't sit right with you, that it doesn't feel like that's being trustful or respectful, there's a block.
Exactly. It was actually also, we came together and like, it was kind of fun. It was like both of us wanting to set, you know, things in writing, because we are obviously bringing different things into this relationship. And yeah, so it makes a lot of sense for us, for our own clarity. So what is it that I bring into this? And Thea, what does she bring into this for me? Where is it going to meet? And then probably, like, when you start, you never know what's going to come. So more things are going to come up. So also one of the sentences was that we can always update and make this even better and better and better. So yeah, of course.
Exactly. And it meant that we started our business partnership on a really positive note,
Yeah.
because we both felt protected. We both felt that we trusted the other, because we were both being very, very open about what we can do. And we still have that openness. You know, I still 100% trust Nadine, because Nadine does what she says she will. And Nadine trusts me because I do what I say I will eventually.
Yes.
But no, in all seriousness, we do that trust. Opening any partnership is the ultimate expression of trust, because right at the start, nobody has any idea. And that partnership could be, a contract with a supplier. It could be an agreement with a VA. It could be an agreement with Nadine, with somebody who's going to be an equal partner. That initial contract in and of itself is an extension of trust. But as you continue to work together, as it continues to grow, that trust then builds. So what you've done, and this is where it brings it back to actually being quite a nice root activity, is you're laying that foundation for trust to grow.
Yeah.
And honestly, if
and we were speaking about control as well. So in the development of this relationship, I actually really had to, or was privileged to, let go of control, because when I do my thing, so I'm in control. And then now this partner comes in, and so she brings her thing, so I'm not anymore in control. And that's very interesting that I had to, like, it was a shift of energy for me. And it was very interesting. It's like, I can let go of this. She's doing the right thing, and she's doing this, and she's doing that, and she brings all these energies and this great exercise. And I was like, whoo, that's so fun, to let go. Like, control isn't that it's going to be better. Sometimes it's just also such a relief that you don't have to take care about everything. So that's really fun. Yeah. We have time for one more question. Shall I go? Like, I love this one, which comes also a lot with when numbers feel intimidating.
Oh yeah, go for that. Let's do intimidation.
Okay. We have more questions, and I will tell you. So for everyone listening to this, the Magistry and Astral members have question priority, and the Ascendant members have, like, this also hot seat possibility. So according to the level of awareness in our portal, we will look at your questions first. But then also, if you are not a member at all and you feel the page and you really want to submit a question, of course you can, and we will eventually get to it. Maybe you're lucky, have more luck in the next session of the Business Bliss Q&A, which is going to be in 4 weeks. From now, we're going to next week start again with a growth coaching, this time in the sacral space, which we're going to look into team development, cultivating your business, creativity, and processes, workflows. Then the second week in February, Thea will do a energy clearing and calibration session for the sacral chakra. And the third week, we're going to open our TTT, Tool Treasure Trove box, with sacral tools, which is very fun. It's a lot about efficiency and creativity, so stay tuned for that. And then the fourth week is going to be, again, a Business Bliss Q&A. And you can submit your questions now. Everything's fine. If we have time next time, we will take the questions that we didn't come to this time. And yeah. So let's get to this last question for today. And I thank everyone who has been here with us and watching this on Facebook Live. We're not always doing this on Facebook. And this is because we are starting this and we want the world to know about it, but this is generally something for our members only. And those who are signed up will get the emails and direct access, and we will eventually open this Zoom up to be also a sacred space, a more private space, so everyone can ask questions as they feel comfortable. Good. So the question was, numbers feel intimidating to me. What's the simplest way to understand my business financial health? So before I'll go into the part of the financial health, which is a very important part of it, is that numbers feel intimidating. So I'll give the question back to you and ask why. Because numbers can be so many things. Like, we have a number so that the postman can find us. We have a phone number so people can actually reach us. We have a birthday that is important for us, or at least for our kids, like, yeah, it's my birthday, just such and such many times to sleep, and then it is my birthday again. So we have 3 birthdays coming up in the family. So numbers are numbers. The question is, why are you feeling what you're feeling towards numbers? So in business, I'll say it's your association about. So before we go into the financial numbers, for example, if you have, like, on a Facebook post, you have 20 likes, and then you go like, oh, it's only 20 likes. But hey, in real life, if now 20 people would actually come and tap on your shoulder and say, hey, well done, that's really interesting. So that's a cool thing to have, right? So the numbers are relative. If you don't have a multi-million-dollar business, that's fine, because you're not there yet, right? If you really want to go there, so you're on a path to go there, right? So there are probably things to be learned, blockages to be opened, etc., etc., and that's why you're open to join the Secrets of Business Chakras at any time, so you can go through that path. But meanwhile, you are where you are, and your numbers are what your numbers are. And your associations about these numbers are your associations. And if they're negative, that's just an invitation to heal. That just means that there is an energetic blockage which is to be opened, right? And if you have positive feelings about it, yay, I have, earned 100 euros more than last month. Hey, that's a thing to celebrate. It's not only, right? And then there is also seasonal business. Like, there are so many explanations, right? So the other thing is, and Thea spoke before about comparing. You do not have to compare yourself to anything or anyone else, but compare yourself to your previous month, to your previous year, to before 3 years, and looking back to the path you've come, even if your business is still in startup phase and is not doing profits at all yet, that's fine, because you're on your way. So asking about a business's financial health, it very much depends on the stage of your business, right? If you're still in the investing phase, in the setting up phase, in the foundation phase, or in our language, in your root phase, it's fine if it still is in negative numbers, because you're investing and you're building something. If your business has already a couple of years and you just don't come out of the red numbers, of course, we need to look at the numbers and see, you can't, like, it's not sustainable to have a business that doesn't earn enough money, and has profits. Where does it sit? Probably in your pricing, in your sales, and those are heart chakra themes, and we very much welcome you to join those calls and look into those themes. But the business financial health is the combination of, are you making profit? Are you succeeding in terms of progressing in your goals to grow your business? And growth does cost money, and as long as it's defined as an investment, which means that there is going to be a return of investment, it's fine, it's healthy. Just make sure that at the end of the day, on the bottom line, you do earn money, because that's the very definition of a business. You offer a service or a product in transaction for money, right? Or something that is similar to money. Maybe you know, give a service and you get milk and bread from your baker, from your milkman. That's fine. That's worth money too. So it's a means of exchange. And as long as the exchange is positive for you, you have a financially healthy business. So if you want to look further into that, you're very welcome to come into the coaching session and we'll have a look. In the portal, you'll find ways how to also have one-on-one session with us in the magistry level and onwards. Yeah, you want to add to this, Thea?
Yeah, just a couple of really little points, because I think you've actually pretty much covered everything that I would be saying anyway. So there's 2 points that I want to make. One is about, I'm just saying this in case I forget the second as I do the first one. One is about life in general, and the other is about numbers. So I'll start with the numbers one, which is that, I mean, I used to be scared of checking my bank balance. I used to be scared of anything to do with numbers. And so I also have a mailing list for my tarot books. And I hadn't checked that email account for probably about a year. And the longer it went, the more terrified I was of looking at it, because I knew that there were going to be hundreds of emails or thousands of emails in there. And what were I going to do if somebody like emailed me a year ago and I'd never replied to them? And how bad would that make me look? So of course, then I left it, and the longer it went, the worse I'm going to look. And I did a songwriting mentorship. So I've had access to a lot of really amazing people, someone like just my favorite mentors. And one of them, a lovely lady called Shelley, she said to me when I was telling her about like how stressed I was getting about thinking about these emails, she was just like, rip off the band-aid, just do it. And so I did. And yeah, there were a couple of emails in there that should have been applied to me a year before. But I just wrote and I said, look, I'm really sorry. I just haven't been online. You know, I haven't been checking these emails. And I replied, and that was fine. Yeah, but actually nobody really was thinking badly of me, because they had other things to think about. Why are you going to be thinking about an author that hasn't written back to you for a year? It's not important. But I replied and started opening up those relationships and those dialogues. So even if there's something that you know that you look at it is going to be scary. So for example, you know, you're going to look at your bank balance and it's going to be overdrawn. That's okay. It's just a number. Numbers change. Numbers change all the time. But it just lets you know where you are now. And I don't do it anymore, but I actually, at one point, I made a point of looking at my bank balance, my business bank balance and my personal bank balance every single day. So it wasn't scary, because most of the time that fear comes from the unknown, because you're worried about what's going to be there. You don't know what that number is. So you don't know the number. So you're afraid of it because it's unknown. Know what your numbers are. Get okay about looking at those numbers and accepting that they are just numbers. And they tell you where your business is, but in terms of your worth as a human being, it's just a number. And that brings me on to my final little point, which is that, and this is just about life in general, and I've had this conversation with friends who talk about not being where they want to be or not having done what they want to. And it's like, okay, well, let's actually look back at your life. Let's look at where you are now compared to where you were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Maybe you're not exactly where you wanted to be, but I bet wherever you are is further along than wherever you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. If you are somebody, and all business owners are this kind of somebody, who wants to grow, who wants to expand, who wants to make a difference, growth is inevitable. And when you stop beating yourself up about where you are now and just simply look at how far you've come, and I know Nadine already said this, but it is, so I really want to underline it, that when you look back at how far you've come, that's when you've realized, actually, I've done loads already, and if I've done loads already, it means I can do even more.
Yeah. And, you know, if this is still an issue, so Fia's energy clearing session for the root chakra, which is now available in the portal, has a very nice calibration meditation, which will just take you back and take away that fear, clean those energies. And I really encourage you to watch it, to go specifically there in the portal. You can reach us at www.inspireworks.ch. CH is for Switzerland, Confederatio Helvetica. Anyways, /business-chakras. There you will find the access to the portal or to the membership, and it's inspireworks.ch/business-chakra-portal to get direct access to the portal for the members. So you might want to check it out. There is also, of course, we have the lowest level of explorers where you have a free trial for 14 days. So just check it out. And then come to our sacral sessions starting next week with the new month. Oh, and that reminds me, Thea, our new moon session is coming up for the higher levels for Magistry. Maybe you'll say a couple of words about the new moon session coming up. It's the 29th, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it's this Wednesday. Now, we are going to be doing a new moon ritual every month for the higher levels. Normally it will be at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's UK time. This week, unfortunately, I've got various other commitments, so it's going to be later in the day. I think we'll be doing it at 7 o'clock British time, but I will confirm that to portal members who are able to come. And what we are going to do is we're going to do a new moon ritual, working with the new moon energies. We're still at the dawn of the year. We're still in January. So we're going to do an intention setting ritual. So we're going to clear away the energies of the last year. We're going to let go of anything that we're still holding on to us that just doesn't need to be us anymore. Anything that's lingering from the past that doesn't need to be affecting our present and certainly not our future. And we're going to set our intentions for the year. And you can come with some ideas, or you can actually just come and allow whatever comes up to be what comes up, because I find that quite often the most powerful stuff is the stuff that you haven't planned, that you actually just allow to work with intuitively. Because, you know, I will talk a lot later as we get further into the chakras about the importance of intuition with business and the importance of actually following that intuition to get those incredible innovations, those incredible insights. So let this be your start. If you're not used to working with your intuition, let this be a start. You don't have to come with anything but yourself and your beautiful brain. And I'll see you on Wednesday.
Amazing. I'm very, very excited for this session. So thank you, everybody. I think that's about an hour now. See you next time, next week in the growth coaching for the sacral business chakra. We're very excited to go into this, and see you in our next session. Bye, everybody.
Looks like